Do you enjoy supporting family-owned small businesses? I have my cousin, Joe Bear Jr., CEO of First Integrity Mortgage Services, here with me today. Joe, thanks for taking the time to come by today.
Of course, Tom. So, all right. Hey, I'm going to try something here.
All right.
I want to flip the script. So Tom was supposed to be interviewing me,
All right.
but I want to try and interview Tom. I figure since he's known, because he's way older than me, for the record,
boy.
everyone,
Yeah.
way older than me.
Okay.
And so we've known each other since, well, for over 40 years.
This is why I was nervous.
Yeah, I know. This is why you should have been nervous. So I figure after putting up with all your nonsense for over 40 years,
Yeah.
I should be able to flip the script and throw something on you last minute and just see how it works. Because Matt's
right.
great, and you
All
know,
right.
they're going to take care of us. So
Sounds good.
now, if you know, here, let's give the audience some background here. Like Tom said, we're cousins, right? So we've known each other our entire lives. And Tom's been in the industry as a whole a few more years than I have. Well, probably actually a lot more years as the industry as a whole. And that was always something that, like, when we were much younger, you decided to go for it and try to get into the industry.
Yeah.
And you were a huge supporter of it.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know how many people even know your background. So how did you get started in the industry?
So I started when I was 19 years old as a realtor.
And if you can tell, I mean, it was a few
I
years ago.
lost a lot of hair
Right. Yeah.
starting since then. I mean, back then I had hair and I couldn't even grow a beard. So now it's completely changed.
Yeah.
And now my beard's grayer than yours, I think.
Oh, well, that's why I shaved mine off today for the interview so that you guys couldn't see it, how gray it was. But yeah.
No, so I started when I was 19 years old, sold 10 houses my first year,
Wow. Yeah.
but didn't even hit $1 million.
Wow. Yeah. That's a lot of work.
Well, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, that's
you know, and houses were selling for in the 85, 90,000.
Right. Yeah. My first house was $120,000.
Yeah. So 10 houses the first year.
At 7.5% interest rate.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was 1998.
Yeah.
So it was, interest rates were high and everybody was buying.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So this was one of my, as I was going through this, I was thinking, all right, what am I going to ask him? And my first question was going to be, okay, you've been a huge, and, like, to use the word staunch, like, not extremely, you've been a staunch supporter of both real estate agents and the industry as a whole. And I've noticed that for decades, because you've
Yes.
only worked here for almost a year, right?
Right.
Or not quite, but
Right.
close. And you've been that way for well over 10 years.
Absolutely.
And I wonder how many people know that you got your start as a real estate agent. And that's why I was like, all right, I'm going to ask that question because it's so relevant. It's incredibly relevant.
You know, I think that starting as a realtor and then getting into the mortgage business, you know, it gives me a leg up.
Yeah.
Realtors kind of, I kind of get what they're going through, if you will.
Yeah.
So most of my realtors, I do tell that to.
All right.
So, but some of the realtors I don't work with, obviously, you know, or haven't worked with yet.
Yeah.
They don't know that.
Yeah.
And I've been in their shoes. I've been in their shoes selling houses at these types of rates.
Yeah.
And your dad was one of my first lenders and helped me out, taught me about MHDC. So that's one thing that I love to do with my realtors is educate them as much as possible.
God, now I don't have a second question. That was going to be where I was going.
Break it down for them.
Yeah.
You know, I have seminars. I have
Regularly. Yeah.
yeah. So I love to educate, and if anybody can learn from me, like I learned from your dad, they're going to have a leg up.
Yeah. It's funny because a lot of the people that are going to be watching this are our family and friends that
Sure.
might know both of us and know the family history, because a whole ton of people in our family, all over the country for that matter, are in the real estate or lending side. And I mean, I remember you telling me that story about you talking to my dad, you know, well over 20 years ago at this point. And gosh, it's almost 25 years ago, Tommy.
It is. It is. We had lunch at Ozzy's.
Oh, wow.
Your dad and I had lunch at Ozzy's, and he started teaching me all about MHDC and all the first time home buyer programs, and just took me under his wing, which was awesome.
That's cool. So you touched on the education piece, right? And I know that's incredibly important to you. And, as an organization as a whole, we love to talk about educating consumers because there's so much value in that long term.
Yeah.
And really it makes them better homeowners. But what are some of the things you learned throughout your career that can help either new homeowners, new real estate agents? Because you've seen it. I mean, like you said, the rates were like this when you first got into it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very real thing. And it's not, and you know this better than a lot, it's not necessarily about the rate. It's about what programs are available, what's out there, and what the lender is and the real estate agent they're working with. So how did you, what makes that fire in you?
I think that, educating borrowers, like I said, is most important to me. But when I've got a borrower and I can take a look at what exactly they have going on and compare different scenarios and present those to the buyer to make sure that they're doing the right thing for their family.
Yeah. Which is ultimately the most important thing.
Right. That's the most important thing. So I love to sit down and take scenarios, look at both sides or 10 sides of a deal.
Yeah.
And that does light a fire under me.
Yeah.
I get excited when I'm figuring out a situation. I love to critical think, and getting there with a buyer is just most important to me.
That's the critical thinking piece. God, it drives me crazy. I feel like in our industry, when I started, over 10 years ago, that was something that you had to do, and it was commonplace for loan officers to sell that critical thinking ability. To your point, teaching them options, teaching the different loan scenarios, how things work, so that they can make that educated financial decision.
Absolutely.
And I feel like for so much of our industry over the past few years, I really feel like when COVID hit and rates took that big drop, even from the high threes to the mid twos at some points.
COVID discount.
Yeah, the COVID. I feel like that education and that critical thinking for loan officers as a whole went away, or didn't go away. That's not fair, because there's a lot of loan officers that do that, but became less important. And who suffered as consumers.
Yeah, and it was order taking.
Totally.
It was order taking, and it was a crazy, crazy time.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Sure.
But once it started to slow down a little bit, it was kind of like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Now I can get back to what I really enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Videos.
Videos, right? I mean, a little loan officering on the side, but videos are the most fun. Right?
No. So, enjoy, spending time with my customers and putting those options in front of them and talking to them about what the meaning of homeownership is and how important it is to grow their generational wealth through homeownership.
Right. Yeah. That's so key, because that generational wealth, which is funny, that was my third question that I have. I swear, I have all these typed up in my notes here, and I'm like, where is it? Where did you staunch supporter from real estate, you got education to consumers, So all of those were questions I was going to ask you.
Hey,
so you're doing great.
Hey, I've done this before.
Yeah, absolutely. So you had a good feeling that a curveball was
I knew you were doing something, but
okay.
I didn't know for sure.
No, but that educational piece, that creating wealth, I mean, that's the key that so many people forget about, is that buying that house creates that first stage. Most people aren't inheriting a trust fund, right? That's just not how the world really works. And most people aren't buying an asset greater than a house. They're not. They don't own a plane. They don't own an office building. They're starting, and even those people, vast majority.
If you think about Monopoly, what's the first thing you buy?
Absolutely, you buy the property.
You buy the property, then you start putting a house on it.
Yep, exactly. So true.
So I think it's absolutely the most important thing is growing generational wealth through real estate.
Right.
I bought my first house when I was 25.
Right.
My parents were like, "Hey, you got to get out of here."
See, that's why they'll understand when I say I flipped the script because I was putting up with your nonsense. They totally get it.
Oh yeah. But for me to to be able to start with a $85,000 house and then move my way up.
Yeah.
It has provided for my family very well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's so key. I mean, people forget what rents are doing, right? Yeah. So houses aren't appreciating as fast as they were a couple of years ago, but they're still appreciating at a significant rate. And what people forget is an appreciation on a house, if it was up 20% last year in value and it's only up 3% this year,
you're still up.
You're still up. It's a compounding interest thing. It's like, okay, so 20% plus 3%, I've made 23% over the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're paying rent, you don't get any of that.
None.
Yeah, so that's critical. I mean, for me, like since you came to work over at First Integrity, it's been so fun because I mean, we talk on a regular basis before this, but like being able to firsthand see your passion when you get excited about a new customer and being able to create those scenarios for them and really go through it and dig into it, like that fire fuels me. It fuels other people on the team, and I just think it's cool. And I felt like I owed a responsibility to you and the homeowners in the area that you're going to help to like really, so they could hear and see that side of you because it's so real.
Sure. Well, I appreciate you flipping the script on me then.
Good.
What about when I'm stressing?
What are you talking about? Is there stress in this business? I've never noticed that ever once.
Are you kidding? That's why I don't have any hair, man.
Right.
I stress a lot because I want to make sure that everything goes very smoothly for each one of my borrowers. And
that's a difference maker.
The reason I stress so much is because I care so much.
Yeah, for sure. And you make that evident. More people just need to call Tom and give him that opportunity, right? I want to see Tom stressed out all the time.
I'd love it. I'd love it.
Yeah. So
my wife wouldn't.
No, that's all right. And she'll be happy in the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
awesome. Well, thank you for letting me flip the script on you.
Absolutely, man.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks for interviewing me.
Love it.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good day.